beginning the third tutorial. Let's go ahead and open Blender. Alright, this one's going to be a little different. So we're going to go ahead and just start with our default scene. Press G, Z, 1. That way the cube will sit on top of the grid. Shift A, add a plane. We're going to scale this up just until it's the size we want. We're going to hide the camera in the lamp for now with H. Z, go in wireframe view so we can see our floor here. And we're going to switch over to game S 0.5. We're going to scale the cube down to 0.5, then GZ 0.5. Oh wait, GZ negative 0.5. GZ negative 0.5. I don't know why that's so hard. Alright, so I was actually just goofing off a minute ago and thought that this was cool enough to want to show you all today. We'll go ahead and switch over to Blender Game, jump over here to the Physics tab. We're going to turn on Collision Bounds to Box, and we're going to lower the radius to 0.5. That way the radius fits right inside the box. Basically, we're going to make a video with, and I just press GZ1 to move it up a little bit. We're going to make a video of some blocks falling, but we're going to put a picture on it so when they fall, it makes a picture move. You'll see. I thought it looked pretty cool when I did it. So we're going to duplicate it, Shift D, 1, enter, and then we're going to hold down Shift and press R, which redoes the last action, which is also pretty handy. We're going to select this first row. I only made it about 6 wide, just to make it a little more interesting. G, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it at 6. I don't want to get out of control with this. We're going to duplicate it again. Shift D, 1, Z. So it moves it up Z, then Shift R to redo that last action. And we got a whole bunch of cubes sitting here now. So I'm just going to use box select with B, move them up the Z axis and over. And we'll just run a test animation. Alright, it looks like there is some issues right here with duplicates. Alright, try it again. And that's what we got so far. I like the way it looks in wire view. I just think it looks cool. More so than shaded view. Let's go back to wire. Wow. There's just something artistic about lines to me, I guess. Alright, here's where the magic happens. We're going to assign these cubes a material. So we're going to select this one, or we won't do that yet. Let's select all of them, and here's the magic. Select everything, Control J, joins them all to one object, Z to switch between wire view and shaded. We're going to select everything and press U, project from view. And what this is going to do is now we can jump over to our UV editor, and here's our UV map showing only the fronts and backs of the cube. So we're going to put an image over it, then separate it again and animate it falling, then record the IPOs. So we're going to open Robot White, and it looks like it distorted the UV. Period to focus. Z, U, project from view. Now we're just going to scale this up. This is actually a picture I did last year when I was learning about robot. There's a couple of videos of him up. I haven't yet finished him yet, but if y'all are interested, I'd love to put up a series of videos on modeling it. It was one of my favorites. Alright, so we got our UV centered, and if we just jump back over to default, Alt Z to bring up textured view, we got this thing. But the problem is that it's all one mesh now, so we need to separate it, right? Here's where you go into edit mode with tab, press A to select everything, then press P to separate. We're going to separate by loose parts. Now all the cubes have their individual again, but here's the issue. The radius is still set to right here. So its origin is still set to right here, so we need to correct that. We will press B to select everything, then press Shift, Control, Alt, and C, and choose Origin to Geometry. Now, if we switch back to Textured View, we have individual cubes all building this image. So if we press P, bam! And I thought that was pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and assign it the material. Because you might want to render this out, let's go ahead and assign it. They all share the same. We jump over here, switch this to image, and we already got our image loaded. We'll set its mapping to, I don't do that mapping. There's two mappings that always has thrown me off, but we'll map it to UV. So now every cube now shares the same material, and we'll just call this material robot cube. And if we were to just switch into render view, we see nothing. So let's switch back into regular view, set our camera to Alt H, unhides everything. G, Z, Z, back to camera away. Alright, now the reason nothing showed is because our lamp is behind the scene, so if we just put it there real quick, we got our nice little image. Now I want to do some things about the specularity, and maybe let's make it shadeless. Voila. And we're going to take the crown, assign it a material, call it floor, and we're going to make it where it's shadows only. There. Now we can maybe animate it, but let's look at it in that view. Bam. And that's pretty much what we want. Maybe we can make it even more interesting. Let's just play with it a little. Alright. Wait, I hit it. It's GZ. Let's move it up and just see what kind of results we can get. Now let's texture view that and see how that looks. I hate doing this to my robot though. Just understand. Alright, that is pretty good. And if we look at it in render view, it all holds together nicely. So here's where the beauty comes in. I think what we're supposed to do is go in user preferences under add-ons and make sure simplify curves is, here we go, is enabled, because we will have a mess here in just a moment, and you will see that this may not be the most effective way to do this. And if y'all do come up with some interesting videos from this, let me know. I'd love to check it out. Alright, so Blender render, blend sky. Let's see, that's a little better. I hate that default color. In fact, I probably could choose a better picture too, but we'll stick with that one. And we press P, and alright. Now we're going to animate the camera and move it in, make it maybe look like as if, let's see if we can get our, no, it's not going to give me that. Alright, so we're going to animate this and choose record animation IPOs, which I think that's what it used to be called. And now if we press P, it records in slow-mo. No. Actually, let's start that over. R, ooh, no. Here, what we'll do is select them all, rotate it, appearances like that. That way it has a little more of an interesting appearance. We'll scale this up so the cubes don't disappear. They form just disappear into nothingness. And now we set it to record animation. P. And that's good. Now we look at our timeline, and this thing makes long. So let's turn off record animation. I hate for it to happen again. And here we go. We've recorded the physics of the game, which is all cool, but it is, if we jump over to animation, it is a mess. It is such a mess. Ugh. It almost makes me hate doing it like this. Because once I start putting nodes in and start getting all funny with that, then it becomes even more of a mess. So, this is where it's important to, first of all, save the file. Let me show you all something interesting. So we used an image and texturing it. If you go and save the file right here, we're going to save it in my January. We'll call this cube falling tutorial. Yeah, there we go. Cube falling tutorial. I'll call this cube drop animation. Then we can go here, click external data, pack into blend file, and you see it got dark right here. That means the file hasn't been saved. If we save it now, the image is now packed into it. So if I gave the file to someone else, or even took the file to another PC, I don't have to worry about that issue where it disappears, which can be a nuisance sometimes. Add modifier, wait, W, where is that option? Here we go. I believe this one's out. Let's make sure. No, because it's called simplify. Let me check into this and make sure I'm right before I just start clicking stuff. Alright, y'all. Why on earth is this here instead of over here where graphs are? Why on earth is Simplify F curves showing up in my tool shelf in my default view? That is just weird. But that is the thing that made me look like a fool. Alright, continuing. I'm going to choose Simplify F curves, and if we drag this up, it will make it far less crazy. And now if we animate it, we have a much cleaner animation. Now I don't like how much time it's taking, so shift left, first frame, A deselect, A select, scale in. We want our frame to be the usual 100 frames. Alright, now if we animate it, it's lost a little finesse. Let's go over to default. Let's check out. It's totally lost a little bit of its springiness, but that is a cost we must pay sometimes. So let's also go ahead and turn this back over to Blender Render, and we're going to increment our save by clicking the plus, so it saves another file. There's still a lot of keyframes here, but I guess there's a busy animations. Alright, hope you all are still following me. So we'll render it out, see how that looks. I don't like the shadeless look for these cubes. So we're going to turn off shadeless, see how it looks now. Now they look like kids playing blocks. So we're going to go back over here and set up some indirect lighting. Maybe, depending on how it does my render time. And I think they look pretty good. Might want to, let's just put a empty here, lift it up, shift A, spotlight, move our spotlight over, then select the empty, Control T, track to constraint. Now we got this nice little light here, and we want it to have some specific values, like maybe increase the shadow buffers to 4, increase this to 1024, maybe add one more buffer, we'll put a little blend in it. And there we go, it cheers it up a little bit from the front. Now I'm trying to debate on whether I should go the extra mile and play with some depth of field, but I just might. No, the material for this, maybe get a little bit of a glow. Actually, no. We do want to add a mirror, reflectivity, a little bit of Fresnel. Let's see how it looks. Notice our render time stacking up here, so I don't have to go through all the changes I am. Like I know my computer definitely can't handle this stuff. Alright, so we go back to the first frame. We got our animation. Alright, now that is going to look pretty good. Now for a little bit of camera work. Camera work is definitely my weakest skill, so if you're better at it, feel free to give me some tips or something. G for keyframe it. We'll turn on auto keyframe. Sorry, I kind of zoned out again. We'll set it. We'll turn on auto keyframing, then G, and then R to set it for location rotation. And we're just gonna jump to frame 10. Rotate this down. Maybe even bring it in closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm just doing it on every 10 frames just to keep it simple. Like, I realized when I first made my animations, they were real jerky. It's because cameras just don't naturally move like they did on for the way that they did. Alright. Now right here, frame 40. We'll leave it there, then upgrade to frame 50, 60, 70 to Z. We'll back it away. G, Z. And move it up. So when we animate it now, it's now for the special effects. Well, not special effects. Right here, right before it crashes, we need a good explosion effect for the camera. So we put a keyframe here, right here. We jump the camera like that. For this frame, we jump the camera like that, and we just do it for the next couple of frames. Maybe rotate a little, back it up, rotate it back, GZ, maybe move it lower, move it up, GZ, Z. Keep it back. G, Z, Z. Alright, so now if we play it back, hopefully it looks the way I thought it would. Alright, we should make one where the cubes hit the ground too. That'll look good. Now, when those in the back hit, which I would say is right. I would say it's right there. So, right here, then right there, then right there, right there, right there, moving up some. And I'm just jerking the camera around, so I don't think it's pretty self-explanatory. So now we look at our animation, and for the very finale, we should just bring the camera, G, Z, Z, R, X, G, Z, up, G, Z, continue to just move it up. I'm just rotating it around. Probably be more effective if I was using a trackball. Or if I was just outside of it and I just made a separate window for it. And we'll just have it serve it like that. So here's our scene. And if we just... Alright guys, that render finally finished, so back into the compositioning portion of this tutorial. We're going to control up and back to where we were. This is just a little experiment to see if this is going to work, so let's just see. That is the opposite of what I want. Maybe switch the factor. I bet we can go over here to just the texture and alright. That is definitely what I was going for, but it's a bit intense. So we're going to try to see if we can reduce the amount of darkening is doing in it. Alright, I'll just work on that later. So what we're going to do, first of all, like I said, I like putting all the stuff in a group so it just makes it easier. So we'll start off with a mix, value 0, and that just kind of takes the place of having everything plugged up in there. So we just will disconnect for now, deal with it in a more organized fashion. Let's look this on, head on, pull this sucker out, put this in. Alright. And I'm still just goofing off here. So if this, if I'm doing it completely wrong, just tell me about it. Because I do not know what I'm doing. This is just an idea I just came up with on the spot, just to add a little. Alright, I'm actually pleased with these results here. It's so random that I decided to try it and it actually worked. So we're going to take all of these and put them in a group. And Control H, hide what's useless. And we're just going to call this edge darken. And that's about all we're going to do there. Now we're going to go and add a vector blur. Now the problem is that over here in layers we should have enabled vector, and you know there's a lot of other stuff we'd be playing with too, but we're not going to do that today. And we'll put in a glare. Glare just, I like it. So we just got it simple, just color correct. We will leave out the depth of field this time. We'll come back to that another time. If y'all really are insistent on seeing that, just let me know. And also we are going to set this to curved, and we're going to Control M, no, we're going to M, mute it, so we only see the glare. Let's see if it actually shows up the image, because this one will need to re-render it so it processes like the frames before or something, I think. And yeah, we don't want to wait on another render. I'm actually ready to go play some Halo. So like I was saying before, if anyone wants to join me on Xbox, I'm DeathGear00. And we put our glare, let's see what it comes out to. Maybe we should rearrange the order here. We'll plug this in here and just go ahead and unplug that from there. Now, I don't think I'm going to use the vector blur whenever I render my image, so I'm just going to remove that from it this time, just because I want it to go fast and I want to be able to show you all the results of it tonight. Now, I've done a little bit of playing in the BGE and was also working on a game about my current job, like that I didn't get to finish, but I'd love to check it out again and see what improvements have been made to it. Like, I even heard you can use nodes in there now, and I love nodes. Nodes is like photoshopping, and it's useful for a lot of cheating. Like, I've used it for graphics editing, for just cutting stuff out of pictures. Like, it just is fabulous. Alright, so we're just going to cut it clean here, and I'm just going to go ahead and just turn off vector and maybe add a little bit of depth of field just to the camera, and make it where the camera's focal target is the empty. So when the cubes are falling, it'll all look kind of blurry. Then when it hits, it'll sharpen up. So filter, defocus, Z, and depth of field is way easier to put over here, like than in Maya. I'm currently learning Maya at the same time, and depth of field is just way more complicated. We'll lower this to about 6. A narrow depth of field makes for a good blur. And that'll be it. Like, I could add glows and all sorts of stuff to this, but we're just going to call it good here. Alright, so let's see what you guys come up with, and happy blendering. Also, be sure to disable preview. And I'm going to save this. Peace.